Hello, and thank you for listening to the Founders Corner. This podcast invites business owners and entrepreneurs to discuss their business challenges and seek advice from our host, Ajay Prasad. Ajay is a serial entrepreneur and owner of two seven-figure web-based businesses, GMR Web Team and GMR Transcription, and the proud creator of the online reputation management software, RepuGen. If you would like to be a guest on our show or contact Ajay personally, please click the link in the episode description. Enjoy the show. Please note that we experienced a few technical difficulties in this recording. We apologize for all issues with sound that you may notice during your listening. We are working to get this resolved for future episodes, so we very much appreciate your understanding.
Hello, I'm Ajay Prasad. Welcome to the Founders Corner. Here with me, I have Naresh Vissa, founder and CEO of Chris Media and Marketing and COO and executive publisher of Normandy Investment Research. How are you today, Naresh?
I'm doing great, Ajay. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I look forward to learning more and gaining some insight on some of the business issues that I'm currently tackling.
Fantastic. So tell me something a bit about your business and your entrepreneurial journey. So why don't you start, give us your quick background, and then about your businesses. Then we can talk about your issues.
I first started offering my services independently, actually, when I was a college student. I was probably about 19 years old. And what I did was I provided, you can call consulting services, media services to terrestrial radio stations. And when I was in college, I never thought I would become an entrepreneur. I thought I would go the corporate route, which I did. I got some great experience working for Fortune 100 companies, banks and funds on Wall Street. And then I went to business school. And again, I thought I would continue with the corporate path. But on the side, I always offered my services just so I could make some money and get some experience on the side. Well, my side hustle ended up getting me a full-time job with one of my clients. I took over a project. And while I was working for that client, I learned an entirely new industry, which is the financial publishing industry. Financial publishing is, if your listeners are familiar with The Motley Fool or TheStreet.com, it's the publishing of investment research and selling that research to individuals. So helping them manage their money, helping them with stock picks, bonds, etc. So I went out on my own officially for good. I left the corporate world behind in 2013. So for almost 3.5 years, I'm coming up on 4 years. I've been on my own. I first started my consulting company, Chris Media and Marketing, which began as a financial publishing consulting company that has since expanded to be a online business solutions provider. So anything online related, project management, web design, web development, logo design, copywriting, publishing, affiliate marketing, etc. Anything that's digitally oriented, we have a team of people who can, work on projects, or we have solutions for folks. So my clients in that space are big publicly traded companies, but also little, doctors, lawyers, real estate entrepreneurs, etc. So we really cover everybody. Now, because of my background in financial publishing, I also started a couple of financial publishing companies since then. Some of them I've shut down within 2 to 3 months because there just wasn't a market. Some of them I've exited, where I've sold my stake. And then some of them I'm currently running. Like you mentioned, Normandy Investment Research. That was an acquisition I made with a team, and we're in the turnaround process for that. And then another company that I started is called Moneyball Economics, which is another big data economic forecasting firm. We help individuals, again, manage their money through our forecasts of publicly traded companies and their earnings releases. So that's just a little background on who I am in the financial and online digital spaces and what I do.
So that's interesting. Now, because these are two separate at the same time, very involved businesses. So how are you managing to to run both businesses?
Ajay, I truly believe that the days of going to an office are coming to an end. You live in Southern California where traffic, I'm not sure if you work in an office or if you work from home or somewhere else, but the
We
average
work from office. We are old fashioned,
okay.
unfortunately.
So, but as my guess is that you or your employees are spending at least an hour and a half a day just commuting to and from the office. And in my case, I work from home. Everything that I do is digitally oriented. So for our meetings, we do it on Skype, which is how we're doing this interview right now. We do it on Skype, or we do it on. I use an app called Voxer, which is a walkie-talkie app. I prefer people to just send me messages there instead of conducting meetings. We're a digital company. The people who work for me, they're located all across the world. India, Eastern Europe, United States, Philippines. We're very spread out. And the beauty of managing these businesses is because I hire people who already have an expertise. I don't have to worry about hiring and training. I don't have to worry about providing health coverage. These are people who are ready to rock and roll. They respect their time. I respect their time. So when I give them work to do, the work gets done pretty quickly. So there's no time wasting. People have a great work-life balance, and we do our work. In fact, the amount of meetings we have now is minimal. Maybe once every 2 months, if there's something important, we'll have a conference call or a meeting. But otherwise, we keep in touch through either private Facebook groups or the Voxer app, like I told you, Skype, email, text message, phone, etc. So that's freed up a lot of time because there's no commute for me. I work from home. I'm well rested. I'm able to sleep well at night, wake up, get 8 to 9 hours of sleep. And when I sit down to do my work, I'm incredibly productive, incredibly productive.
Wonderful. So that's good to know. So obviously all these people are independent contractors. So
yep,
they work with you on a project basis.
Yep, exactly. Okay. So
yeah, that's definitely the trend.
Yeah, I recommend it. And through Krish Media and Marketing, other companies hire my company as we contract out our work. So they essentially hire us as independent contractors. So it's good for them because they get the expertise and the quickness, and they don't have to worry about hiring someone full time and paying them salary and meeting payroll and healthcare and all that. So it's definitely the way the economy is moving towards, and I'm a huge fan of it. And at the same time, you hear all the time in politics these politicians talk about how they're going to create jobs. None of them really understand the digital economy and the way that business and the digital world is moving, and the act of creating full-time jobs. They have no control over it. They have no control over this because more and more companies are going to start cutting costs and hiring expert-based contractors.
Yeah, that is a discussion for another time. So, but yeah, I agree with you. The workforce has become very global for almost everything. I now meet with companies where technically they have people working. They have offices in 3-4 different countries, and they have just small offices. So they just create office based on the strength of that particular company. So they may have a programming team in India, but the call center in Philippines, and something in Ireland. It's kind of really interesting how even the smaller companies. I'm not talking about, of course, massive companies have it. The smaller companies are getting there. So yeah, makes a lot of sense. So Naresh, let's get to your issues. So let us. So tell me what some of the questions you have for me.
Yeah. So Ajay, I'll admit that since I got started nearly 4 years ago, has it been bumpy? Yes, it has been bumpy. But my first year in business, it's like I gave myself a 20% raise. And it was almost too easy. I was getting clients, they were paying me good amounts of money, I was working from home, I was living a great life. And then, the bumps happened. But things haven't been so bad. Have I shut down businesses? Yes. Have I scrapped projects? Yes. Have I pissed off clients? Yes. But things haven't been so bad to the point where I've had zero cash flow, or the ideas or the projects or the industries have dried up. So I have to ask you, because I know you've been in business for a very long time, there are going to be some down years coming up. I got started post-recession, for example. There are going to be down years. Whether I want it or not, it's going to happen. And I don't know when it's going to happen, but what's the best way for entrepreneurs to prepare for these down years without even knowing when they're going to come?
Sure. And actually, I started my business in 2004, so I did go through that recession, while being a very young company. So I can bring some perspective for you. So first thing first, I tell all the entrepreneurs that you have to have a product that is of real value to your client. Okay, so so long you have that, so that always has to be a starting point. If you have a product or a service that is very peripheral to the company business, then of course you are more dependent on these ups and downs of the economy. But so there are a couple of things that comes from preparing for down years. So first thing, obviously, I don't even need to tell you. I guess Bill Gates said that very well when he said that even for a Microsoft kind of company, is like, I want to make sure that I have a 1 year of expenses to run the company in the bank all the time. Now, not all entrepreneurs can do that, but they have a reserve. I always say that, because downtime will come, and you just want to make sure that you have some runway so that you can still take off and not crash. Now, having said that, the first thing I would say is, if you already have customers, like in your case, you had it really easy for the customer. So you have obviously figured out how to get new customers. So first thing, you want to make sure that you have honed into a marketing process rather than program that that you can use and you can get customers. It could be as simple as, I know that it could be as simple as I have to spend $500 to on paid advertising on Google to get a client. So just understand how you can get more customers. But for the downtime, if you have a customer, the first thing is you have to totally focus on customer retention. I had the same problem, like you said in the beginning. Actually, I was worst when I started. I lost most of the customers, and until I realized that, okay, there is something called your ideal customer. I shouldn't take anyone who walked through my door. And the moment I started to focus on the right customer and providing the service, so first thing is the retention. So that kind of helps you from the downside, especially for a product like yours, which is, a lot of it is a subscription based, like, you have a monthly fee. The second thing that you should be doing, the moment you have happy clients, you have to start thinking about what are the other products that you can sell to them. And when you the moment you start to have that other products, because your happy customers are most likely to buy your product. So you have to have a growth plan around it. And then of course, when the one thing I will tell you about entrepreneurship is, because you're so small, generally speaking, the downturns don't impact you as much. Unless you are totally tied into that business. For example, if you have an investment newsletter and people stop investing, or they all of a sudden, which happened in 2008, 7, 8, where they just dumped stock. It's like, no, I'm never going to get into stocks again. Then obviously you're going to lose customer, and you'll have a very hard time recruiting it. But then you have to think about what are the other products that you can offer. if they get out of investment, that doesn't mean that they are going to take the money and put it under the mattress, right? So what's the next? So that becomes your challenge to talking about it. But generally speaking, as an entrepreneur, downturns don't impact you as much because you are very small and you are just learning to start getting, figuring out your marketing, start getting more customers. For example, I never had that problem. Even in the worst time, I grew over last year, but my base was so small that growing was not, it was not nothing to write home about. So I would say yes, you have some reserve. You have to, talk to your customer, find out what else can you offer to them, have them more, so that way you are diversified. If you have more products that your customers are buying, you are also diversifying your risk of a big drop off.
So one thing I want to talk about is Krish Media and Marketing, which is the online business solutions firm, because that's client-based, whereas my other two businesses are customer-based, product-oriented. Mm-hmm. So right. On the, I'm curious to hear your thoughts, because my business model for Krish Media and Marketing is, because we are a digital firm and we don't have offices, we kind of bare bones. And as a result, we're able to charge our clients low prices. So what I tell my clients is, and I still make sure, that it's worthwhile for me and that I'm making good money. But right. I tell my clients, I say, if you find someone who charges lower than we do and, who does a good job, then we'll match the price. And nobody's actually taken me up on that offer. Everyone's just gone ahead and paid the price that we charge. But because we are low cost, I think if a recession or if bad times hit, I think my company would actually might even perform better, because we're offering these services at a lower cost. And companies, they might cut their employees, or they might cut that big, brand name company who does their PPC or SEO or, design work, and instead go with us and, at the discounted price, get the same quality service. That's just what I personally think. I have no idea. I could be completely wrong, but the business model is priced so that people at least give us a shot for one project, so that because of our low costs and our low prices.
So Naresh, here is my perspective on that. So you obviously that is your strategy, right? So your strategy for getting customer is either you want to be a price leader, right?
Right.
And then or you have some unique value proposition that you sell around that, the value proposition. Now, one of the challenges that you will find being a price leader is also being considered a quality company. That it's almost so that is the challenge that because even if you are a low price leader, you have to make sure that you have some unique value proposition, something that you can claim that other people cannot. Okay, so that becomes your challenge. Now, personally speaking, I find it very hard to support a low price price leader strategy, brand positioning, simply because it is just race to the bottom. Because you could be offering something, say a web design for $2,000, and then all of a sudden a company in India starts to offer for $500, and then because people are buying based on pricing, right? So they won't know the difference. Mm-hmm. So that is something that you have to be careful about. So I am a big believer in figuring out who is your ideal customer. Okay, so if you know who is your ideal customer, for the customer for whom you can create like the best value, I will stick to that, because those are the people who will stay with you. Generally speaking, very few businesses expect to pay a tiny bit and get a lot. Okay, the concept of getting your money's worth is still there. So long, again, so long you're creating the real value for your business, it really doesn't matter if you're charging them $10,000 and if the value you're creating for them is say $30,000. They are not going to flinch. So that pricing doesn't become so that that is just my perspective. Now I know that many companies have focused on pricing and have succeeded. Although I will tell you that in digital marketing arena, I have not seen many really low price leaders thrive unless you are talking about companies like web.com or Wix and all those who went with that model, but they had literally millions of dollars in funding. And even then, I don't think that the final story is written. So we don't know where they're going to go, how their model is working right now. So that is my 2 cents. If you want to be the price leader, you really want to be the price leader. So be ready to compete at any price, because you will get when you say that I'm going to match the price of someone else. Of course, if they put it on one of those like guru.com kind of website, then you will be competing with like few $100s, right, for your project. So I personally, if you ask me, I think that the strategy is very hard to defend in the long run. But if that is your strategy, make sure that your price is always the lowest in the industry. If you can manage that, yes, you can defend that strategy.
So I'll say this, even though, and I think I touched on this, I mentioned that, yes, we do price match. And I tell my clients, if you find someone else who's offering a better price, we'll match it. I've worked with at least 60, 70 different clients over the past 4 or 5, really past 6 or 7 years, and not once has somebody actually gone out and said, hey, this guy said he'll do it for a lower price, can you match it? Not once. So
in that case, why do that?
Well, I guess it's more of a persuasive strategy. Now, of course, we will match the price if the quality is comparable and their portfolio is comparable, or whatever it is that they do is comparable. But we'll match the price, no issues. But it's almost like a persuasive strategy, like, hey, I'm not trying to rip you off by charging you this, $2,000, $3,000. I'm not trying to rip you off. Like, I'm trying to give you the lowest price that we can offer. And if you find something better, we'll go ahead and match it. And there's a reason for it that I wanted to touch on, and you can follow up with your comments. I've been in 2 business-related lawsuits in my life with clients so far in my 7.5 years in business. And both of the lawsuits were a result of high prices that I was charging. And basically, we delivered everything that the clients asked. We delivered everything. The quality was top-notch. Everything was fine. But both of these companies, and again, these were not huge Fortune 100 companies. These were small businesses. They had employees. They had 5 to 10 employees, but they were small businesses. They were saying that I ripped them off and that they want their money back. And their response was, you charge us too much money. Even though they agreed on the contract, they paid, the money, or they paid half of the money, but didn't deliver the other 50%. Even though it was all agreed on, they still had problems.
So what happened, after the lawsuit? Who won?
So, of course, these things never make it to court. Both of them, the first lawsuit, the client ended up paying in full, and they also paid my legal fees and everything. It didn't make sense to me. So they actually lost money because they paid me in full and paid for the expenses. The second one, the client, it was a very, it's a long story. It was really bad because I had to travel to work out of their office. And what ended up happening was they tried to force me to cut the contract. And I told them, a deal is a deal, a contract's a contract. We're going to continue delivering our services, and we expect to be paid. And what happened about, 8 months later, we had lawyers involved. They went after each other. They bullied each other, and we reached a settlement, which, it was a decent settlement, but I think I should have, I think I deserved more. That's another story. But
Naresh, I think you answered your question, because when you are charging the price, and so long there's a contract and they know clearly how much you're charging and what you will deliver, so long you deliver that, you're fine. If someone wants to go through a lawsuit, it is their job, because you will always come ahead.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Founders Corner. Unfortunately, we lost connection with Naresh towards the end of this recording, so we had to stop this somewhat short. If you'd like to get in touch with Naresh, check out his website and information, which you can find in the episode description. Stay tuned for the next episode of The Founders Corner.